speakers here who could tell you about and get you caught up. So this is the Tug Tug. When I say we, I mean the Tableau Community Booster Group. We're sort of like a group within a group. It's myself, Katrina Johnson, Jennifer Lisborg, and essentially we just love the community and found that there were so many resources. About twice a year, we're just going to have a quick open meeting like this where we help consolidate things a little bit and give people an opportunity to ask direct questions to the leaders in the community, because we want everybody to feel welcome to just ask things out loud instead of going and finding stuff online themselves, because sometimes that's tough. That's what we do for a living. Again, for the point of accessibility, in the top, like anywhere that I show a resource, I'm going to have a QR code available. We're recording this, so you can go back and grab the links right off of those QR codes on your phone. And we will email back out to all the attendees kind of a bulleted list of the resources that we have here, because I know that's more convenient for somebody to bookmark and save on their desktop too. So I'm going to talk about how to find Tableau user groups, finding upcoming events, how to become a Tug speaker, which is a big start for a lot of us, how to start a new Tug, and then we'll have some presentations like I talked about. So the first link, the place I always tell people to go is if you go to the Tableau community, like under the blog site, this Tableau community webpage is just a great reductive view going down of the whole community, tugs, community projects. I just think this is a great site. It's curated well. I put the little QR code. Look, there's handsome Luke. Luke's thank you. I just missed his head. So if you're watching, Luke, don't worry, I didn't cut you out. Okay. As I was going and searching there, I happened to find this great article right here that I suggest everybody read because it's directly tied to what we're talking about, by Tiffany Chan. And this is a great resource of, if you have a little more detailed questions and maybe what we'll go over, I thought this was a great way to, we're going to be talking a lot about what's in here essentially. The reason being, again, this place is huge. I was blown away at my first TC, like when I went to my first conference, about how many people were there. And there were about twice as many people at the last one I went to from that one. So it's just growing. It's growing so fast. There's all these projects, there's all these tugs, and it can feel pretty daunting. Even within that, it might be too big, right? You want to find something that's just right for you. There's all these great articles and blogs and things like that. So again, this is our kind of curated, we're going to latch on to your community cruise ship and sort of tug you in the direction of making it easy to find the place for you, your community within the community. The first site, the first link here is going to be usergroups.tableau.com. Easy one to remember. I have the QR in the corner. That's how we're going to keep track of upcoming events. It always shows like next couple of days or last couple of days, we'll have the events and their links there. So you can catch up on stuff from all over the place. Look, here's our Tug right here. And it's the best place to find those links. And hopefully they work. Sometimes they don't. Within that, at the bottom of the page at usergroups.tableau.com is a search functionality. So you can look for Tableau user groups by region. If you're looking to go to an in-person event, you live in the Northeast and you want to find something in Boston and New York, you can look for it here. You can look for virtual only groups, specific industry groups. All of that is available right through that search functionality. It's okay if you have just made your first dashboard to volunteer to present. New people and new users is what drives the community. This space is just about making pictures out of numbers and having fun and doing some show and tell, whatever it is you're passionate about. And maybe you did a recent data viz project, or where you were working had a data viz contest. And as long as it's not company sensitive data and you can share it, reach out to anybody who, almost all of the Tug leaders have a list of speakers and we try to get people around. One comment I hear is like, oh, it seems like it's the same people doing the same talk. Well, again, this is just encouraging, show up. It doesn't matter if it's ugly. These are all data visualizations that I have presented at different Tugs at virtual tugs and in-person ones all over the country. And the one on the top left was like the first tug I ever went to. I presented something, and I was only using the software for like 3 or 6 months. So it doesn't have to be a master place. It's a great place to get feedback. The tug leaders and people who volunteer to do this are very much here to just help nudge you, learn something about your passion, and sort of push you in the right direction of what's going to fit best for you. You just have to communicate. It's a really open community. And maybe you think you're just too weird, right? I will tell you that there's no such thing as too weird. We're all like super weird. You'll find that this is the weirdest group of weirdos that's ever weirded. And tugs are not perfect. Nobody is going to have something that checks every single one of their boxes. The good news is you don't have to pick one. You can follow along or participate or communicate with Tableau user, like multiple Tableau user groups of one of industry, one of location, one of the cause. You don't have to fit yourself into a specific peg. You can be anything you want to be here and find it, or you could start your own. You can come up with the weirdest tug ever tug. A place to do that, and if you really want to do a refined search, is this tableau.community.com asks group. So this is like a sub search within the user groups, and this is where you like do a little bit of research. You're like, wait a minute, I want to start a tug for left-handed tuna fishermen. I don't know, like, and you think that that's a popular niche, and you can build a community about being a left-handed fisherman. You can make a tug around that. And there's a great visualization, which I include the QR link here. It's the same as the link before, just the different tab in it. And you could see all the tugs across the world, regional, search them here. I like this one better than the search because it's a viz, and everybody loves maps. I love maps. So again, you'll have open access to search for what's existing. And if you see something that's new and you want to come up with the new weirdest tug ever, there's a whole list of frequently asked questions and direct links of people that can support you in creating a new tug. There are so many that we always say, please reach out to a leader, please reach out to the contacts in Tableau, and we'll help you. We'll help you get set up, we'll help you get started, and there's probably a good chance somebody already had the same idea and you're already building a community there. So that's it. That really was it. Those resources, if you go back again, we're going to share the links at the end. That's how you can get started in Tableau user groups, finding good meetups to present to, making yourself available as a speaker, no matter what your experience level is, and just getting going. It's been a huge part of my career. Like, my professional life has really been built with tug meetings and presenting at them, and the people that I met throughout that process. So it's one of my favorite things in the world. And if I could spend the rest of my life shouting out that the community and Tableau user groups is the best thing, I will. So I am. And I was really fortunate that some of the people I met along the way agreed to come along and share their tug life, tell their tug stories. Lizzie Betzenhall is going to jump in here first and talk. She does a lot. Obviously, if anybody knows Lizzie, which everybody knows Lizzie. She does a lot in healthcare. I'll let her introduce herself. She'll do a much better job. Then Timothy Blaisdell, who's from the Veterans Advocacy Tug, is going to jump in. And Lawrence Durbin will be closing us out. And we will have some networking time after this. It's not going to be split up. Like, I don't think we'll do randomized table. I don't think we'll do call outs. We'll just kind of make it an open Q&A session. So if you do have questions for the individual speakers or questions, please use the Q&A function and drop them in there. Please give comments and say how great everybody is, and specific stuff you're loving, or share links of stuff that you're researching while you're watching so other people can grab them there. And do stick around, because at the very least, I'll sit here and ramble a little bit more if anybody wants to talk about tugs, because I love them so much. So I'm going to stop sharing and kick it over to Lindsay, and it's all yours.
Thanks, Will. All right, let's do this real quick. At least I know how to share my screen in Zoom. All right, let's make sure this works. Hello, there we go. All good?
Got it.
Cool, thanks. I probably should add a slide in here, like who I am. That's okay, I could just talk to that. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Lindsay Betzendahl. I'm a senior consultant at a company called Health Data Viz. So pretty clear, I work in healthcare. I've worked in healthcare for about 15 years. I used to be a marriage and family therapist for quite some time before I got into analytics. So I'm a co-lead of the virtual healthcare user group. And before I became a consultant, I worked at a company called Beacon Health Options, and I got involved in the community slowly but surely. And at one point, one of the prior leaders of this tug, Simon Beaumont, who at the time was working for NHS over in the UK, had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to present. I was like, what? I don't think I'd ever been to a tug at that point, because the one I lived in Connecticut and the one there wasn't, was fully developed. And I was like, present? Oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I could do that. But it was one of the first tug I presented at, and it actually opened up the door to learning a lot more about the community and presenting, and how much value there is in both being a presenter and taking the opportunity to share whatever story you may have, or skills, or advice, or whatever related to Tableau or data visualization, as well as gave me the opportunity to kind of like hone those skills on presenting, and then attend more tugs because I found it very valuable and interesting. And obviously since then I've probably presented at more than I can count, but those are all wonderful experiences. So I, as kind of Will said, encourage you all to consider, or at least, toy with the idea of perhaps presenting. So that's a long-winded way of saying, ironically, this health tug was the first I presented at, and now I am a co-lead of it. It has been around for some time. That first presentation I did was back in 2018, which is crazy. So we have 4 co-leads actually at this point. There were 3 of us for a period of time. So Mark Connolly and I are the longer standing co-leads of the tug since I think 2019. He is a BI lead at the University of Chicago Medicine, Tableau ambassador, and obviously I already said who I am. So the 2 of us have been doing it for a while, and we had Simon and Nicole Lohr had been involved, but have stepped down in the last year, and we've got 2 new folks. So we have Nicole, Lily, and Mark. I actually have to update this because I think she just changed roles, but so you may have heard of her, data visualization engineer, and Dennis Cow, who is associate professor at Carleton University. And so he's done a lot of amazing visualizations out there if you know of him. All of us happen to be at Tableau ambassadors, which is pretty cool. So we're all pretty involved in the community and are really committed to continue to share, data viz, Tableau information regarding healthcare. So I'll explain a little bit what that means, because just because you don't work in healthcare doesn't mean you couldn't present at our tug. But if you do, even better. So some of the things, we meet about once a quarter. That may be pretty typical for some tugs. Not entirely sure, to be quite honest. As I sort of alluded to, we focus on all things Tableau with a healthcare lens typically. But again, that doesn't mean we haven't had some people provide other talks that are still relevant to, any person in any industry, as long as it's kind of like industry agnostic. But we've had some really great presentations from specific segments of the healthcare industry. There's a lot of variety there. We tend to draw between like 300 and 600 attendees. I think with normal tugs, you always get kind of like a half or 2/3 of what sign up, but we get, closer to like 1,000 end up registering. That's all to say, it's a pretty big audience, so it's really great to present at some of these larger virtual tugs. You get a lot of name recognition. You start to be able to get your name out there, so it's really good for your own personal, branding and what have you. And sometimes it's easy when it's virtual because you don't see everybody as it may be if it's in person. So it's an easy way to like get into the presenting. We have a wide variety of presenters from, like I said, different expertises and sectors of healthcare. And like I kind of mentioned, it's been running for at least the 5 years that I know, but I'm sure it's been running for even longer than that. Should probably get that number. And I'll kind of like round out with just some of the topics to give you some perspective of what we've at least done in more recent months. So we did one from John Schwabish presented last time on Do No Harm, applying racial equity awareness into data visualization. So you can think like maybe that's not specifically healthcare related, but healthcare organizations are very aware of racial equity awareness. And so this was a huge and important topic for folks, even though, he wasn't necessarily presenting on like Tableau, it's data viz and some of the things in healthcare. People work in healthcare would really get value from. We had some other very technical talks like transforming on market surveillance with Tableau or automating customer analytics with Tableau's REST API. So you can see we kind of have some more theoretical as well as technical. And we've also done ones like using Figma to enhance your dashboard designs. I think Gafar Shah had presented that. Again, he doesn't work in healthcare, but that was a very valuable talk. Tableau prep talks. We've also had some community folks who, again, may not work in healthcare, but created a visualization that was related to healthcare. So visualizing mental health data, a walk through my viz for social good. That was Nicole Klassen had presented that. So that was a really awesome, talk that she shared. So all to say, a wide variety of things. And if anyone would ever like to present at our TUG or has a talk that might be healthcare related or relevant for a large healthcare audience, you can please reach out to me. I should have put some of that information there, but I can drop it in the chat with my email and my Twitter handle or what have you, as well as Mark's. It might have been on the other slide. That one has at least our Twitter handles, but so yeah, we would love to hear from anyone. And that's it.
That was a great job, Lindsay. Thank you. So wait, actually a quick question that I think is topical for you, right? Like we just did a call for speakers and we had a question from the pool that everybody could feel, but it was, so what is the value of a new speaker? I think of healthcare, it's like doctors, medical stuff. You need to be an expert there to get up and talk about it. Tableau, you need to be an expert to talk about it. Yeah. Sounds like that's actually not the case. It's not been my experience.
Yeah, no, I don't think you have to be an expert necessarily in healthcare to present at the healthcare TUG. Some people are, sharing, at least it's data about that or, but yeah. I think my first talk was, even though I work in healthcare, was I think about how we transformed from, paper Excel reports to Tableau. So it was more about like our whole like transformation process. And it didn't really have to do necessarily with healthcare. It just happens to be I could share it was a healthcare organization and I could talk the language, but the talk wasn't necessarily about healthcare. So yeah.
And part of the benefit for everyone, and particularly for the person who's stepping up to be a new speaker, and even though they're new, is just hearing people's stories, how they got to where they are. Data analytics is one of the windiest roads for most people that end up here. And I don't think that's exemplified more than any group than the Veterans Advocacy TUG. They generally have a vets to viz story in every single one of their meetings. And you hear these amazing stories of how people went from serving to now working with data and doing stuff like that. So it benefits to hear their story, and it benefits you to help network and find people that have similar backgrounds. And that was my super smooth segue to thank you again, Lindsay. It was awesome stuff, and kick it over to Airman Tim to talk about the Veterans Advocacy TUG.
Thanks, Will. And it's Sergeant Blaisdell to you. Okay. So let me get my presentation here set up with the proper screen. All right, anyway.
Are you sharing?
Not yet. 1 second.
Okay. for pausing through. Awesome to see how many people again, almost 70 participants and quite a foul at the beginning. So again, thank you everybody who's sticking around. As soon as we get into this, we'll dig in these questions, but save them for after when Lawrence goes, and we'll make sure we get through any of those one by one. How you doing, Tim?
Yeah, good. Sorry, I can't make the second screen disappear, so I'm just gonna. You guys are just gonna see my the app. All right, 1 second. All right. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't,
Yes.
for some reason, I couldn't get in presentation mode. Here, actually, I'll just do this and I won't be able to see your guys' faces. There. Oh, now I can. Never mind.
Beautiful.
Okay, cool. So with Will's super smooth segue, I am Tim Blaisdell. You don't really need to call me Sergeant. That's fine. I'm out of the Air Force now. These are the leads. So I'm Tim, and all these are we have our Twitter handles at the bottom here, and my co-leads Ethan, Chris, and Abe. So we started. And we're all vets. I made the right choice. I went to the Air Force. Ethan is Army, and Chris and Abe went into the Marines. I met Chris. Actually, I'll switch here. So our story, Chris popped the question to me in 2019 about starting a veterans tug. Somebody from Tableau, I think, actually approached him with the idea, and we met in Boston when we were working at the Veterans Affairs. So we already had this veterans mission focused job anyway. And when I came down to DC, he stayed in the Providence area, but wanted to start the veterans tug with us. Ethan and Abe joined in early 2001. There was a hiatus in there. It kind of got to a really slow start. But at first we were thinking tug for veterans. You know, if you served or still serving, then join our tug and we'll teach you about Tableau and such and network. But we felt that we wanted to be more inclusive. So we expanded our invitations to anyone that cares and values veterans and the community. So we have right now this whole year we've had monthly meetings. So it's a pretty high cadence of meetings. And I say at this point we're still planning on having monthly meetings, but we'll see, because we are going into other efforts, which I'll talk about a little later, or actually the next bullet. So we do host quarterly-ish challenges, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more. So I like to say we're a tug with a mission. We serve veterans, service members, and advocates. We host meetings, and our meetings have been about not just about Tableau or skills or things like that, but also how to market yourself on LinkedIn or whatever to get those data jobs. We're actually working on a automatic job posting that scrapes USA jobs for careers in data visualization, be it Tableau, Power BI. I know that's a 4-letter word here, but I'm sorry, Power BI and other data visual or Python, anything like that. If you're into data, we try to. Our Chris, who's really he's our data guy. He's put a lot of data together, and he built this really cool search feature, which we will. I think we're going to spread out to everybody, or post so everyone can see that shortly. We just got to figure out the best way of doing that. We educate and advocate. So we educate with the Tableau and also data prepping and things like that, and also, of course, advocate. So we try to be veteran focused. We've had a very specific veteran focused and military focused presentations, but then we've had, like I said, just Tableau. And our presenters aren't, I think for the most part, have not been veterans themselves, but just wanted to help out. And then recently we launched the Viz for Vet initiative. And it's that's the website right there, www.vizforvets.com, which I can show if we have time, which posts our data challenges. So what we do, and we had this idea a while ago, but it just kind of came to fruition here in the last year, where we connect with a veterans nonprofit, and we offer our services to be like, if you're willing to entrust us with your data, we can actually make a dashboard for you, and then you can host it on your website. We've been successful at that. The first one was Project Echelon, which is a organization that's near and dear to my heart, it's a cycling focused, like road cycling focused, where they mentor veterans to become better athletes, and that in turn will improve their mental and physical state. So veterans with PTSD, depression, anxiety, even with knee injuries and things like that. So they fund bikes, equipment, event costs, and things like that. So we got their data. Well, actually, we helped them create data because it was a survey that we did. We helped them create a survey because they didn't have any objective data that showed, is our program actually working? So what we did, we had a survey. It's not really that scientific, but it's something that gave them a survey. They sent it out to their participants, how they felt before and how they felt after or during while they're participating in this Project Echelon program. And the data say that they're actually that it's actually working. And we gave them this dashboard. Ethan Lang made this really great dashboard, and they actually posted it on their About site. So it's on their website right now. And they're also a professional cycling team. So you'll see them if you go to any of the local cycling races. If you're here in the DC area, the Armed Forces Cycling Classic, they participate, and they actually won last year, and they were just upped in a professional status to the continental level. So they're actually a pretty legit professional cycling team that also does this veterans work. It's really great. I think I've spoken too much about them, but I really love them. So anyway, so we've done Hunter 7 with it was a nurses survey about how nurses that are treating veterans, if they're actually confident enough and able enough and understand veterans issues like presumptive conditions and things like that. We've made them a dashboard. Yeah, I'll show you an example of the stuff that we've done here in a second. So what to expect? Will already mentioned that we have this like veteran vet to viz story. When we have those meetings, we do open it up to non-vets. Why is the veteran community? Why are we so great? We want to hear why veterans are so great. And so we open it up to them, and we say for the how you came from military service and how you found a data job, or and how you made that transition. So we open it up for everyone, and to kind of like get to know our members, so they're just not staring at a screen. That's another important thing. All of our meetings are virtual because this is a nationwide event or nationwide program, and even sometimes international. I think our first meeting ever, we had some guy from Australia dial in, which is pretty cool. You'll network with like-minded people who have a passion to support the veteran community, and also learn from the best in the data fam, like Will Sutton, who was the latest Iron Viz champion. He recently presented Lorna Brown, and both of them, presented from England, and then Zach Bowders and Will Strauss. He presented at one of our first ones, and I like to toot his horn. He's been a supporter from day one. And there's this veteran. That's his challenge coin. So we do have these challenge coins, which I have one right here too, which all of our presenters get, and it's a military tradition to give challenge coins out. So that's been we've enjoyed giving those out and seeing people post that on the various social medias like Twitter and LinkedIn. Whoops, wrong way. So this is an example. We had a Veterans Day challenge recently. And this is actually, we had it was mainly focused on veteran population, demographics, age, things like that. I made one here, which dealt with like the disappearing population of World War II, Korean and Vietnam veterans. But we had a Tuskegee Airmen submission, which we did a challenge last February, so almost a year ago now. And another person did one on the Department of Veterans Affairs and I believe mental health care quality. And there we go. All right, so there we go. So also, I think we were asked to say how tugs have changed my life, and I'm not speaking in hyperbole when I say that it literally has changed my life. So getting into Tableau, at work, it was just a software to use. And then I started like looking it up online and seeing that there's actually user groups around. And I'm in the DC area, so I started going to the DC Tug, which is phenomenal. I love the DC Tug. And that really kept me motivated. And I met some amazing people through them. And it also, inspires me to get better at it and to dig deeper into this community that we have. It also, inspired me when Chris asked me to start a tug. I was like, I think this is something I can do. So, inspired me to do the tug and meet some incredible people. Like, I'm still in touch with the Project Echelon guys, and inspired me I just joined the Air Force cycling team. Actually, I got my application approved today. So I most likely wouldn't have done that had I not met the people at Project Echelon and things like that. So helped me build my career and personal life. I've been promoted several times based on my work with Tableau, and like my personal life, just meeting some new friends and upping my data skills and just now my cycling skills as well. So this is us. Twitter, you can follow us at veterans ad. Well, you can read that. And then those are all ours. And then RSVP to our next one. I don't know the exact date of it, but it's sometime in December. And then our LinkedIn group is right there too, if you want to. I should see a lot of phones going up and scanning those codes right now. I don't know if I see anybody doing that though. But so that's that. Yeah, and please reach out to me for questions, and I'll be happy to help any way I can or answer any of your questions.
It was awesome, Tim. Thank you. I love the passion within the passion, because it's like you have the veterans advocacy thing, and then we could get talking about cycling with Tim like all day, right? So that's one of the things I love about the general community is nobody's one thing. LD, Lawrence, our next speaker, are you still leading both the Denver and the LGBTQ tugs, both of those?
Yes, we haven't had any events for Denver because it's been crazy to find space to get things going there. But yes, we have both. I'm currently leading the Denver tug as well as LGBTQ.
So again, it's like, you don't have to just be one. You don't have to identify yourself as just a veteran, and however you express yourself in your personal life, there's a space for that too. And I don't think there's anybody better to talk about that than our next speaker. So Lawrence, if you want to take it, thanks again, Tim. Awesome stuff.
Awesome, thank you. Awesome. So share my screen here. Super excited to talk here, and thank you so much. So today, talking about the LGBTQ Data Pride Tableau user group. Super excited with the start of this this year. You know, we see Pride Month June, and for us as part of for myself as part of the LGBTQ community and more, you know, Pride is one of those things that's year round. So with that, going into our leadership, there's myself. I'm a business intelligence analyst at Morgan Stanley. You can check out my links there. And we also have Sarah Carr, pronouns she, her, hers, who is a research analyst for the state of Wisconsin. She recently joined over the past few months, and it's been exciting to have her as part of the group. So just some quick history, you know, in March of 2022, I had the idea of pulling together for the LGBTQ community and requested, you know, the Data Pride Tug to, you know, as one of those groups to focus around the LGBTQ community. And in June, it was approved. And we launched that, and part of our launch was a collaboration with a Pride Month collaboration with Back to His Basics, and some amazing different data sets and vizzes that came out of that, including at least one viz of the day, if I remember correctly. And we also talked around Data Pride, the LGBTQ community, and, you know, did the announcement launch on the Tableau Data Plus Diversity LGBTQ event in Pride Month. And then from there, it's been, in July, we had our first kickoff event with the speakers, Elisa Davis and Kevin Wee. Elisa Davis talking around Back to His Basics and the Pride Month Challenge, and Kevin Wee talking about his pink triangle viz from the Back to His Basics Pride Month collaboration. And in October, Sarah joined as co-lead, and we highlighted, you know, more Pride vizzes, LGBTQ focused vizzes, and LGBTQ plus Pride Month, History Month. And already looking into the future, I think wibbly wobbly, timey wimey when it comes to, you know, time. So the future is the past, if you look at it that way. January 2023, we are already getting ready and planning our next event. So super excited for that. More details to follow. Now, around that, what is the focus of our Pride? And of this tug, it is highlighting, elevating, and bringing together the LGBTQ plus community and data and its allies. And when I sent the request in, it was because when looking at the Data Pride hashtag or those individuals out there, there wasn't a lot of focus in the community around Data Pride. We have these wonderful shirts every month, every year, and it's been great, but the connection around that area and that community is huge. And for the LGBTQ community and for all of us, we're here talking about community. Community is huge. So we wanted to provide a space and highlight the LGBTQ community and data, sharing expertise, you know, passions, accomplishments. We're looking at elevating and focus on learning, networking, other events, awareness of this community. These type of events is part of, you know, what drives us, and looking at careers and more for the LGBTQ community, and bring together the LGBTQ community to, you know, provide a safe and positive place for across Tableau, data, and more. And for the LGBTQ community, just recently, just about an hour and a half from me down the road, we had a very tragic item at Club Q and right ahead of the Thanksgiving. And that really highlights the community coming together, and those type of events impact us all. So bringing that community together to be there for everyone. And so, you know, with that, connect with us. We have able to connect with updates, email us. We just got a brand new email link. We're building more of our social media presence. Twitter to be coming soon, depending on how we see as that goes and more, of course, connect with Sarah and myself. But going back to Lindsay's experience with tugs and Tim's experience and how tugs have, moved our lives forward. My first tug event was a Denver Pride tug event in November of 2021. And then from there turned around and started joining in Twitter and posted my first viz in November of 2021. And since then have taken on to lead the Denver tug, the Data Pride tug, attended my first Tableau conference. I also have been connected co-leading the Data FamCon community project, as well as becoming a Tableau social ambassador and speaking as well on the LGBTQ plus community. So within a year of joining a tug, I have to say it has been a roller coaster. And now to be able to present to you all here, it's fantastic. So, one speaking event, going to one community event and engaging, can change so many things. But that's me. So back to everyone. Thank you so much.
That was great, LD. Thank you. It is a little addicting. You're going to find that a lot of people that are leaders in this community are just so super passionate. And if you find your passion, and I promise you, you will, you're in data analytics, this is part of your career journey or your interests because you like digging into things and finding complex answers and understanding them. And when you find a way to do that about something totally random that you're personally interested in, it's pretty weird when you find out there's literally like 5,000 more people that do the same thing. And it gets out of control from there. It does. It goes crazy. So we still have like 65 people in this, which is awesome. I also think that's a little big for us to do a big open chat. So Katrina, are we able to, can we do do we want to do breakout rooms? I'm assuming some people want to hang out. So let's see. We're going to do how many?
Yeah, I
Let's do
can
4.
I can set up some breakout rooms. I think again, sorry for all the technical issues. We are kind of going at it on the fly. So we'll give people a few minutes or so to drop if you're not interested or not able to make it for breakout rooms. We'll don't feel bad. Happy to hopefully have you on the next one where the breakout rooms will be better or more organized than this one. So I'll give people a few minutes to drop, and then we'll probably just do random breakout rooms. I'll try
we'll
try
do a
doing
random
that.
breakout room and then make sure we have the posts are split up. But
Yeah.
again, thank you for everybody that jumped on. Probably by the end of us vamping right now, there's going to be like 25 people left, and we won't have to do it. So actually, you know
okay.
what? Let's just open it up, and then if at the end of the answer of the first question we need to break out, we will. So does anybody have a burning question they want to unmute themselves and jump in while we're all here? I don't see any hands. I can hear people reading their email and their Slack and looking up like, oh wait, is he talking to me?
Wonder if anyone has any tugs that they wish existed, or maybe we can maybe help find one that would be close or
Build a tug
inspires.
bookshop.
Yeah. Yes.
Love it.
Would be great to know, and as well, how did you hear about this event? I know that, Katrina had reached out to me after, another event to be part of this, but then I remember seeing in my work email an email from Tableau talking about the community booster event. So I don't know how did people see that? Was it through one of those automated messages from Tableau, Twitter, LinkedIn, how did people see this?
Yeah, I'd be interested in that too. I was chatting with Will on the side because
Little jelly.
yeah, it's like you have he had 60 something people here, and I couldn't, like, we do struggle to have people actually attend the meetings. So I'd be interested to hear everyone's idea about how to market, either from the panel
Well,
or anyone else.
yeah, maybe we'll send a poll on the return, on how people jumped in, because I know I threw some stuff out on Twitter. I know everybody gets a little Twitter, right? Seriously, if you're new to this, for
Well,
whatever reason, Twitter is where the data community ended up, and you can have a pretty positive experience in that social media space. If you just look for data viz, you'll find cool people. I can't speak for everything else. All of a sudden, I have a ton of Asian singles who think I'm hilarious. With no followers, but that's just part of the Twitter life. So I appreciate if you don't want to go there. I had a cool question actually from Rushni, who asked, like, what was the coolest thing you've learned at a tug? And Jordan asked, I don't know if there's a criminal justice one. I started a loss prevention one long ago. I actually started out in an LP. My degree is in criminology and sociology, but you can look for a few things there. I know some PDs have there. The coolest thing I learned at a tug was data padding from Jonathan Drummy. And I was always so confused, like, how are these people making these curvy lines and Sankey charts before there were templates? This is that I'm kind of dating myself there, where you couldn't just plug in a template. And he did this great talk about kind of putting the link between my brain and what a graphing calculator does and my data, and how to pad it and do self unions and self joins and stuff like that. So I don't know, Katrina, what's the coolest thing you ever learned at a tug?
I was also going to say data scaffolding. So
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly that's something that we both needed to learn about. I think for me, some of the more important or like memorable tugs that I have is one from Vince from Minneapolis. That's where I'm based. He talked a lot about design for his, and I remember him talking about his design process. And when I first started using Tableau, like I'm a very technical person. Like art is not my thing. I'm not pretty. It's difficult for me. And I would look at these people's dashboards and be like, it's so pretty. How do I do this? How do I get there? Like it felt so far away for me. And so I just remember the tips and tricks that he talked about, specifically around designing in black and white and then adding color. And I feel like that really forced me to think about being very intentional about what I was putting on my dashboards, instead of just being like, oh, I'm going to use the default color palette because it's the default color palette.
Tim or Lawrence, what about you? Was there something that's just super cool that you learned at a tug that you had to tell everybody about?
Not necessarily technical or a skill or anything, but so we had David Bresler present at our last one, and so I organized this presentation where it was I wanted to know how people are able to get data about stuff that they are passionate about and then build a dashboard, because I'm one of those people that I'm really impatient and I want to search for just something random, bicycle accidents or something like that. I want there to be this, I want Google to just show me an Excel spreadsheet with very clean data, and then I want to go in and I want to visualize it. So I wanted to know how people are able to do that. So we had Zach Bowders and David Bresler come on and present that. And what's really stuck in my head about Dave's presentation was that when I look at these dashboards and how pretty and all these designs, and it's like I have no idea how they're doing that. It was like they must be masters at all these other tools like Ultrex and SQL and Python and stuff like that. But they was like saying, I actually don't know much about any of that stuff. I just stick to Tableau, and that's what I do. So it's easy to get really, especially new into Tableau, and I still have imposter syndrome in this community sometimes. So when you're new, it's really like, well, these guys are really smart, and I'm never going to amount to any of that. But the truth is, it's like those that you see all the time have been there for a while, and they may have all these skills, but it's just like one step at a time. And sometimes they know a lot less than you think they do, and that you don't need to have a data science degree in order to do what we do. So I think that's what stuck in my mind, and I have to keep reminding myself, because Tableau is really that's kind of like what I stick to. Like I haven't really ventured out into much of anything else. And I forget who said it. It was a long time ago. But they said, stick with one, like get really good at one thing, as far as Tableau is considered, or maybe not even Tableau. Get really good at data prep, or get really good at design, or get really good at statistics or something like that. And that's your power. And then ask other people for their help to create what you want to create. So anyway, that's what really stuck out in my mind.
I'll pass it to Lawrence next about the coolest thing he learned at a talk, but to pile on what you're saying about when you're new, you can feel really intimidated. One of my favorite things, I love when people do this, who everybody knows their name. Oh my God, visionaries. And go look at their profiles and look for their first viz. So this is like the first viz that I've been a 2-time ambassador. I presented data stuff at Tugs and gotten visit the days. This is the first one I made, and it is super ugly. It breaks so many data visualization best practices rules, but I was jacked because oh my God, I just found out that most endangered species in the plant in the state I was living in are plants. And I showed the same story 3 ways, and it's super ugly. And I will say that my latest one looks a lot better, and it will take a while to load up, and I won't even open them, but the profile is there for you to, like, for yourself, save things, and whoever you think is the best designer in the world, go look for their first viz, and you'll realize we're all start at the same spot. But yeah, Lawrence, what was the coolest thing you learned at a tug?
Oh, for some reason, the thing that comes out to me is transparent shapes. So transparent shapes, transparent colors. So the first tug event I joined was the top tips and tricks spot, and it was Kevin Flerledge. So, and for the Denver tug. So, that's where then I got started. I'm like, oh, I need to follow this blog. I need to, wait, they're on Twitter. Okay. Oh, wow. And all these people. And then it just dived down. But, I do have to say, what you were saying, and Tim and Katrina as well, I'm on the technical side, and like I've used Tableau for years, and I'm on the technical side, not the design side, but seeing things like what is being posted utilizing Figma. Kevin Wee, Lindsay are huge with utilizing that, and starting to learn that on the design side. But also, like, sometimes Google is my friend for anything in Tableau. And I remember posting something into the data fam about needing a fix for something, and within an hour I had it, and it was something I'd been struggling with for so long. Everyone learns something new, and at different things. You may learn something difficult when you're just starting Tableau, and then the easiest things because if you don't need to learn it or don't have to use it, you may not ever, need to try and learn it. So it's been great with that as well. So just and all of these connections through the tugs and more.
I saw a question from Caroline there. So you say you're doing an internal tug at your company, and you were looking for some ideas on that. So usage dashboards are really cool if it's not an audience that you can necessarily share your underlying business data with. So if it's just like a whole company pool, Your usage dashboards are cool. Bragging about how much money you might have saved or made is always a good way to start. If there's not a direct comparison to, like, if there's not a really easy way to monetize your ROI, like these reports saved X amount of hours or this much CPU, or we did a cleanup project. People always have a tough time. How do I celebrate a cleanup project, right? We yelled at everybody to go into the Tableau server and delete their old stuff. But you can have fun with that. Make up a currency. We did one that was like, oh, if every like megabyte of CPU was a lobster, you would have a pile of lobsters the size of a Walmart, and it would be like $20 million worth of lobster meat. And you can build fun little data stories like that in a Tableau dashboard. Internal viz contests are always fun too. Again, like go look at the old makeovermonday.co.uk or uk.co, but Makeover Monday is a great place to look for nice, tight, clean data sources that you can use for a viz contest if you have enough lead time going up to that. Yeah, that's I've done a couple like in-company tug things, and that's always what, viz contests, show and tell. And if you have to talk about something that was boring, purposely make it funny and random. I did a tug today. It doesn't have to make sense. Everybody's just be passionate about it and find a way. Let me look through. Jennifer, did you see, I know Katrina has to jump off. Jennifer, did you see any other cool questions in here? I saw people dropping great stuff about Figma, and let's see.
Yeah, I was just dropping some links as you were, coming up with ideas. And so
yes,
one of my favorite tugs of all times, we called it Nailed It, because you always hear people, they point to their best work. And I think it's almost more helpful sometimes for people to point to, like, this was the dumpster fire I had to solve.
yes.
And so, and to share their shortcomings a little bit and just help motivate and inspire people that, we all fall down. We all make mistakes, and, there's problems that have to be fixed and workarounds. And so I think that's one of my favorite tugs of all time here in Atlanta. You can probably hear the accent.
And it's again, a lot of this field and a lot of why we all love this tool in this space is that it's not about building dashboards, it's about telling data stories. You can walk your business user in a reductive sense from the filters at the top to the bands, the big numbers that they need to know, and a trend in their table, and that's great. You can do the same thing about the pitchers in the World Series the last couple of years. Like you can find an interesting story to you and tell it through data visualizations. And if you were looking for something, again, new speakers always wanted, as long as you're passionate about it, any tug lead will happily give you some time to present to their group.
Yes.
I was also going to say that you can reach out to Katrina, Will, or myself. And if you're having an internal tug and there's something specific that you want to learn about, we can find someone who can come in and speak to that. And they probably have that presentation in their back pocket.
Yeah, like Lawrence just dropped right in there. Internal tug toolkit, bam. Jennifer, like as I'm going, catching up my speech with links. And we're all this weird, same kind of weird, and here to help. And we know the impact that these experiences in these communities in specific can have in our careers, which is why we work for free and do these presentations and help people, because it's bigger than what we individually do. And Jordan, I would love to talk to you about criminal justice related topics. I'd started a loss prevention one a long time ago and haven't caught up with it. I know I had spoken at and know some of the people that do like different Department of Corrections or state agencies will have their own Tableau public pages. So maybe there's an opportunity to connect those dots and say, hey, let's all talk about how, most of these I've saw interesting ones like in Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, was showing this really great dashboard about how the prison population was reducing. And it was these, I don't know, I don't want to say they were stale, but it was these very business-like dashboards. It was like, wow, that's an amazing story that they're coming up with ways and they have a lot of strategy and it's actually coming out in the data that they are able to progressively reduce the population of inmates, which is, in case you didn't know, in the United States, we have a lot of people in jail. And it's an important topic. It's something that you can be passionate about beyond just like the headline of a story that you saw on social media. You can actually look at the data. I think if anybody wants to, interested in climate change, there's a lot of stuff there, but this is one of my biggest pet peeves. You can't complain about climate change and how obvious it is if you haven't actually looked at the data. And I'm not just talking about the hockey stick chart, because then a lot of people can't explain the relationship between CO2 and temperature beyond that. There's somebody named Ken Black, he has his own blog where he posts, there is NOAA data, actual weather, temperature data from every NOAA station for decades worth of time. And you can say that you connected to and saw the data. This is the place for us to attack those big projects. And you can say that you've actually seen the climate change data and you know it's real and you know how bad it is and you know the velocity. And these are the kind of places where we can learn that stuff just through this tool in this community. Lots more links jumping in the chat. The name again is Ken Black. I think it's 3 admin. Ken Black is one of the first, he was a Alteryx ace and a Tableau Zen master, at the same time. He's that kind of smart that makes smart people feel stupid. And you're going to run into a lot of these people and they're all so crazy humble. Jonathan Drummey is another one who's just this humble genius that is always willing to help people. I'm going to post a link to his blog in here. Okay, I have it favorited, good. And you can see a lot of his story there. He's also with all of that, he's a hydrologist and a geologist. So, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but I'll post his link. Oh yeah, you have his Twitter, his LinkedIn. I'll put it in there. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's see. Are there any other questions in there? Anybody from the participant pool want to jump in and introduce himself or maybe show a viz? Oh my God, I would love to see a fresh dashboard right now. Who's got a viz?
I'd also love to know, how can this group be helpful to you? If you have an idea for a meeting or some way that we can be helpful and add value.
I got a question. So I work for a state agency in Texas, Texas Department of Insurance. And Texas is siloed. Each individual agency has their own Tableau presence or whatever. So we don't have a customer success person for Texas government Tableau stuff, which is a bummer. Like most other states, the woman that I talked to, Kansas, it's all one Tableau environment spread out across all the agencies, whereas we're all these agencies and each one has a Tableau. Anyway, so I've been trying to, they had a Tableau did a presentation a couple months ago, or had a session, an event a couple months ago where it brought a bunch of Texas state Tableau people together. It was awesome to see what all the other agencies are doing and that kind of thing. Because, we're siloed, we're not really getting exposed to that. So anyway, I wanted to try and build a community of state Tableau users, but nobody, I keep putting it out and I'm not really getting a lot of, oh yeah, I would love to do that, or let me help you get it running,
Yeah.
which is,
Have you-
what everyone hopes to have.
Have you searched in the community, like those links I showed at the very beginning of the presentation where there was a search for tugs? I believe there's a industry specific group for public sector, right?
I'll dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you too. Feel free to tag me on LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that. But we can follow up with that. I know that there are various public sector things. What you're talking about is a little unique though. In the independent Republic of Texas, things can, with the size and scale of those state departments, I could certainly understand where that's not very well connected. I know that Tim Keady, who runs the North Texas user group, is an awesome designer and he's really into the Tableau community. He's an ambassador, but I think there's like 10 tugs in Texas too. So
the Austin one is pretty active because there's a Tableau office here, and
yeah,
but even then, it's just I don't know, maybe I've only been using Tableau for like 6 months or so. So I'm still like, a beginner. But
do you know who the reps are? Do you know
Pardon
who, have you ever met or been in touch with like sales rep or area Tableau rep or Salesforce rep?
I have, and she said, gosh, I'd love to help you, but Texas doesn't have enough. It's not a unit of Tableau, that we don't make the threshold of having like a success manager, and which would be great, but anyway. So
I'll follow up with you and we'll try to get the round. I know that there's a public sector space, but again, we don't want anyone to feel discouraged that there's not quite a group or there's not something set up. If you have interest, I promise you there's gonna be some other people that can jump in.
I'm the opposite of discouraged. I'm annoying.
Good.
So because I really want to, I want to learn, and like in my group, there's 2 Tableau users. There's the other ones in the agency, and I can, but the thing is that doesn't give us as much exposure to other ideas and so on. I mean, insurance data is not super exciting. It's hard to make visualizations that are exciting about, how many, filings by insurance companies in the last quarter or whatever, but still, trying to give people actionable intelligence about what's going on in our group.
Tim's worked with VA in some of those processes where it's just about, I don't want to say pushing paper. I mean, these are obviously, they're important things, but it is a lot of just like cases open, cases closed, files reported. Again, if you're doing like an internal tug, maybe you do set up a tug meeting. Tell me how high that stack of paper would be if you put it all out. Like, does it go to the moon and back? No. Have fun with it and create tug content.
Yeah, in Texas, they have to like add rules to the statute that says we can say no more paper filings. Like fax machines, people still submit stuff by fax, which is nuts.
So I wonder if you try to just have an analytics day or host one meeting without trying to form the group first. If that
I'm
would
just
be
trying to,
helpful.
I just have been throwing out, trying to get anybody who says, oh yeah, I want to do that too. That's 2 people will make a group. So yeah, I'm not a quitter. So, and it says enlightened self-interest also.
It's all right. Be persistent. Tim is one of the leaders of a super active and super important group. And he'd be lying if he told you that it was always easy, because there was certainly a time period there, and for me too, where it takes a while to get going. And sometimes you can have a small and mighty group and you can have a big and weak group. Just keep persisting. Alina, I see a hand up. Elena.
Yeah.
you.
Hi.
How are you?
Could be any. Yeah, whichever. I want to pick it back at Lauren's question, actually. So I'm based in Helsinki, and there's no object, just no tag in Helsinki. The closest one is in Oslo, and I understand from the US point of view, it's like super close. But in our region, it's a pretty big distance. And like I understand the steps of how to set up a tag, but my question is how to get people excited about it and get them to join.
Yes.
Because I've been trying to, so I've been yearning for some, maybe not specifically Tableau, but just data analyst communities. And I've scheduled a lunch like 3 times and it was canceled 3 times, like the hour before, because people are introverted, because the culture in the Nordics is introverted, because data analysts tend to be introverted. So maybe, I don't know. So how do you actually keep it up and make people
Yeah.
interested?
Headliners are a great way to start. So I just put in the chat there, one of my favorite artists, she's probably one of the best artists in the world, is Judith Becker, and she's actually from Budapest. There's a really strong Data Plus Women group that's based out of Europe as well, with Heidi, and I'm blanking on her last name right now, runs it. So, and then also, we'll tag the names in here afterwards, but that's how I would start it. Generally, like if you're really trying to get momentum and get it going, and you want to keep that EU focus, because it's tough to, with the time zones even, to like get speakers, I would check out Judith first. I'll send you Heidi's contact information, and there's a few other individuals that we can connect you with specifically in Europe. And they're usually happy to come in, and they don't even have to talk. Like Judith, she could just put her data vises on an auto slideshow, and I would sit there for an hour just to watch it. Like they're so good. So if you're just trying to get going, Headliners is a great way to start. Heidi,
That's great.
yes, thank you.
That's really great advice. Thank you. And my second question is about setting up Tableau Public for organizations, for companies, for private companies. So I work for a venture capital firm, and I would love to kind of get it out and try and position us as a more data-driven fund, and create some fun quizzes about like early stage investments. But like, where can do you know if there's a tag that could share experience on how to do it in a smart way?
So we can reach out to you about specific consulting firms that do that. I would say, like, what our company does is we have a Tableau Public page, my consulting firm, and we embed it in our website. So it also exists on Tableau Public if somebody's searching for it. But
That's exactly what I want to do, yeah.
Yeah, so I can connect with you offline. You can tag me here. I'm going to put my contact in here so anybody can reach out afterwards, and we'll email out too. But yeah, it's a common practice, so we can make sure we directly get you resources. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Got all the links. You got me really excited. Thank you.
Yeah, and on that as well, I just posted about the Discover Credit BI. They had just reached out to do that, and the fun things and all that. And I'm just about to post some of the people in the data fam, Elisa Davis, Kevin Wee, and who are ambassadors and such, who are part of that team, who I believe helped set that up, that may be able to help out. So.
That's great, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, Lauren, I'll check that afterwards. That will destroy me if that link isn't working right now. I'll have to tell
Well, the site looks normal, but if you click on any link, it goes to, something bad. So,
oh, Jesus Christmas.
and he says he was hacked and he fixed it, but it doesn't look like he has. So,
well, that is a shame because he's a voice I hope everybody gets to hear at some point. But you can search him on YouTube. You can search for other blog materials, but we'll resolve that. I'm actually we're gonna wrap it up here. So everybody can move on. I know we had this scheduled out a little bit longer, but we pulled down. So We will email back out any of the resources. If you want to reach out, put my contact in the chat there. We'll add it here. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending, especially hanging on through the early technical difficulties. And thank you again to our awesome speakers who are just wonderful ambassadors for our community here in cars. So thanks again. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.